Hi, this is Chris. Today I'm going to try and teach the game Euphoria. First of all, I'll go into a bit of theme and talk about the background and what's going on in the game. So we the players are people living in the city of Euphoria or in and around it kind of thing. And the city is a sort of dystopian future world where the workers of the city are kept in the dark about how things really work, and the elite kind of stay at the top and just control the workers to keep everything running smoothly. This is done sort of at the cost of personal freedoms of any of the workers, and everything's not really all that great. Or it's pretty terrible, in fact. But that's the way it is, and we are trying to either seize control and take control of ourselves and be the top dogs, or perhaps we're trying to seize authority over the city in order to rebel ultimately and take it over to try and improve the future. Hence the name of Build a Better Dystopia. So potentially building a better dystopia, maybe not. In the game, there's these four factions. There's the Euphorians, who are those who live in the city. They have main access to the generator where they can. So they've got power, all their stuff. So it's a lovely sort of futuristic city where everything's powered and they live off. Sorry. Then next of all, there's the Subterrans, who are various people who escaped down into the pipeworks and sewers below. My understanding of the story of this game is that the people in Euphoria are connected to a network called the Org, which is kind of like a direct mind link internet system. So the people who are down below in Subterra, while equally kept in the dark about things, they're not on this network because they originally escaped down underground where it couldn't connect to them, and they don't get directly controlled by it, kind of thing. Next of all, there's the Wastelanders. Sorry about the shadow. And the Wastelanders are the remnants of the population outside the city who didn't get wiped out when everything went down. So they've got all farmland and such, and they have the most food. Up at the top are the Icarans, who are slightly dubious. They farm a resource called Bliss, which is essentially happy pills to keep workers happy, and they use it to trade with the other factions, and they're kind of the traders of the world, using their resources to obtain other people's in exchange and such like. So that's the general gist of what this game is. Each player in it is trying to control their various workers. They'll have certain allegiances and try and manipulate the factions and do as best as possible. So let's try and go into various things about the game itself. First of all, I'm quickly going to touch on recruits. You start with 4 of these, and you pick 2 at the start of the game. They are of all the different factions, so I happen to have gotten 3 Subterrans here. And each of these has special effects. I don't know if you're able to see. So in this case, when you place a worker in a non-subterranean tunnel to gain clay or gold, if you have no cards in hand, also draw an artifact. So players will pick 2 of these at the start of the game, which represents their allegiances, and they have 1 face up and 1 face down. So in this case, for example, this player has chosen to have their allegiance with Euphoria from the beginning, and later in the game they might get the option to flip over their Subterran recruit and have powers from another faction. So at first they're going to be powerful for the Subterrans. So the 2 most important, there's 3 important tracks in this game. The 2 at the top left are morale, which does not start there, it starts on 1. Morale is how happy your workers are, and the more morale you have, the more artifacts you can hold in your hand. I don't know really what the thematic reasoning is for that, but I guess if your workers are disgruntled enough, they steal the artifacts off you or something. I don't know. The next track is knowledge. Knowledge is a very important thing in this game, because if your workers become too aware of the situation, of the fact this whole dystopian city only really works because everyone just obeys blindly, then they will leave you. I'll quickly demonstrate how that happens now. Anytime you retrieve workers in the game, you will add the pips on the top of the dice together, as well as what's on this track here. So in this case, it would be 16 plus 3, which is definitely over what it says over here, which is 16 is the limit. So in this case, your most intelligent worker would leave, he'd run away and no longer accept the conditions that you're keeping him under. So let's jump to talking about those dice, in fact. So the dice are your workers in this game. The number on them represents their knowledge of the world and what's going on. So you kind of want lower numbers a lot of the time because you don't want them to get too knowledgeable and leave, as I just mentioned. Anytime that you get your workers back during the game, you roll them, like I said, and do knowledge. You potentially can get a double, like I just did. Doubles let you, when you're placing workers, you can place any number of the same, you can place an amount of the same pipped dice at the same time. So if you had 2 4s, you could place them both. If you had a 4 and a 1, you'd only be able to place 1 in a turn. Okay, so let's go and talk about the allegiance track a little bit. This represents how powerful each of these factions is getting in the game. So as they get more powerful, their effects get stronger. So for example, if I was to raise their allegiance, they'd get this little bonus here, which I'll explain shortly as I'll go into their spots in a minute. But the gist of it, this goes up. That one I'll explain when I get to it. I'll explain to it. This row, if you get to here on any of the allegiance tracks, you get to flip. So sorry, if you get explicitly the correct faction, so if you get the Subterrans all the way up to here, then I would go, I've got a Subterran recruit, I'd get to flip it, and this is now an active recruit, and I get to use his powers. I get to use both what's on his card, and I get to use any powers I've gotten from here. If you get to the final spot, you get to place one of your authority tokens, which I should bring up now. So in this game, you're trying to increase your authority over the city and seize control for your own ends, whatever they may be, good or bad. The way this is represented is you have these 10. In this case, I've got little wooden tokens because I've kickstarted it. Normally you'd have these little cardboard tokens, which are beautiful on their own anyway. But when you've got little wooden ones, the wooden ones are much nicer. So you're trying to place all 10 of these over the board, and there's various ways you can do that. So you'll end up with sort of some over here and some maybe on your recruits and the like. The first person to get rid of all 10, it represents that they've managed to seize control of the city and they're in control and their agendas are met. Okay, so let's talk about places where you can actually put your workers. At the start of the game, all players will do an initial roll of their dice. Whoever's got the highest number, or highest added number, will go first. I managed to roll a 5 twice, so let's just re-roll this one quickly and get a different number. So in this case, I've got 11, so blue will be going first. The choices for blue are as follows. So the first main spots to look at are the aquifer, the generator, the cloud mine, and the farm. You might notice that these are all very, very similar in that they all have 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 plus, and in 1 to 4 they'll have one of their resource and one of their allegiance, so same then. 5 to 8 they have one of their commodity, not resource, commodity, and you lose a knowledge, and the third one is 2 of the commodity and you gain a knowledge. The way that works is you simply add up any dice in the area and see where you fall. So if I was to place the 6 here, then I would gain, I'm at 5 to 8, so I'd gain 1 water and I'd lose a knowledge. If in a later turn I was to place the 5 there as well, then I'd now be 9 plus, so I'd get 2 of that resource and I'd gain a knowledge. So you can also see that it can be quite beneficial to get down low numbers to push up the allegiance track if you want to make your people more powerful. I'll also bring up at this point, this is what the first thing in the allegiance track is. So as soon as you get into this little block here, it activates these powers, which are, you take a little token and you put it on the area. And what this is saying is that anyone who has a Subterran recruit, in this case, I don't know if you can see it, would draw an extra water when they go here. So if I do it instead with euphorians, as I have a euphorian recruit, as you saw earlier on, if I was to then place a worker in this area, then I'd look, I've got 1 electricity and lose a knowledge, but because of this, I also get an extra electricity, so I would take 2. Right, so that's the main kind of spots which you'll end up starting on as how you can gain commodities in order to start trading and working with. The next thing of importance is tunnels. The 3 sort of ground-based factions in this game are all trying to break into each other's areas and steal each other's resources. So the Euphorians are trying to dig down under the ground and steal off the Subterrans who kind of escaped from them and got themselves off the network. The Subterrans are trying to dig up and steal food, because presumably being stuck underground they find it difficult to come across, and they're trying to steal food from up here. And the Wastelanders are jealous of the Euphorians and their beautiful golden city, and they're trying to tunnel across to get in. The way tunnels work is I should probably explain, on various spots, if there's a white background, it tends to mean that that's what you're gaining. If there's a dark grey background like this, you're paying that to gain the things in the white spots. So if you go here, for example, you have to pay 1 food to gain a clay or an artifact card. Artifact cards are these. There are a number of things, so like deflated balloons, books, and the like. You'll be needing those to get authority tokens, which I'll bring up when I get to markets in a short while. At the start of the game, when you go on these spaces, you get one or the other. Later on, I'll use the Euphorian tunnel again, as I've got a recruit, and it's a good example. If I can get the allegiance track for Euphorians up to this area here, so that row, then I get to place a little addition marker on the Euphorian tunnel. This means that because I've got a Euphorian, I get that plus that, so I get a gold and an artifact when I go there. So it's quite beneficial to raise up your allegiance with your faction so you can get more benefits from tunnels. The Icarans don't have a tunnel, and their little bonus in this area is that anytime you place authority, anytime you place a star in their territory, you get to draw an artifact card. Okay, so the next important thing about tunnels is each time you go on one, which we seem to forget a lot when we're playing, is you move this little miner guy forwards. As he goes along, it kind of represents that he's digging out the tunnel and you're gaining these things which he finds along the way. If you get to here, it's another opportunity to flip that recruit, any recruits of that faction. So if you get to here in the Wastelander tunnel, then anyone the Wastelander recruit will get to flip it over, and that recruit becomes active and usable. If you get all the way to the end, then this spot, this little cancel thing comes away, and this spot becomes available, and it represents you kind of stealing electricity from the other faction, and you're getting 3 each time you go in this spot. So it's quite strong spots when you manage to get to them. Okay, I think the next thing to bring up is markets. So with markets, the Icarans, being traders, have some pre-built, and everyone else has these ones which are yet to be constructed. Sorry, there's a bit of shadow problem there. So the Icarans, for example, have this one where markets will always give allegiance, and usually they'll give an authority token, but for the Icarans, some of theirs give other things because they're special and they get other things. So in this case, give up 3 resources, which is, I've not actually shown you a resource. When you dig the tunnels, these are the things you get. Because I've kickstarted it, I've got these beautiful gold tokens and clay and stone. I think the little wooden piece is a bit like the commodities normally. But there's a little card which explains them all if you get confused during the game in any case. So in this case, you pay 3 resources, so 3 gold or 2 gold and a stone or something, to get allegiance on the track for Icarans, and a star. So this is how you place a star. So in this case, you get to place 1 authority up in that territory. So you've gotten 1 down and you're 1/10 of the way there. This spot lets you do a bliss and 1 other commodity to get allegiance and 2 artifact cards. And finally, this one lets you exchange a bliss commodity and something else, or allegiance, and 2 resources to spend on something else, perhaps this. Right, the other markets I mentioned that you have to build them first. So the way you'll be doing this is on your turn when you're placing a worker, you might choose to go here, for example. If you so say you went on this one, you'd have to pay 1 clay, and your worker stays there until until enough are there that the market's built. It changes depending on the number of players. So in a 2-player game, for example, only 2 have to go down. So the other player might not have had a clay or a gold prepared. You might get the second one down, and then this builds. When the market is built, you flip it over and you slide it across to cover up these. These workers are bumped back to you. I'll quickly mention what bumping is. I forgot to bring it up before, as I should have. So anytime a worker is bumped, you get it back and you get to roll it without having to use a turn. So it's a way. Let's go back to the market. So yeah, in this case you have to pay 4 water, 4 of these, and a gold. In my case, the lovely little gold tokens. I just knocked over my pile. And that gets you that and that. Also, when you've built the market, so if you remember, I built it with these 2 workers, so Red built it. Red, and anyone else who might have helped, if you're in more players and someone else helps you with it, gets an authority token on this market. The reason you should try and help is because you get a negative if you do not help. So in this case, you cannot place more than 1 worker per turn. So because blue in this situation hasn't got a star on that market, they can only place 1 worker a turn. So they could have they could have 3 5s even, and despite the fact that you can normally place all of these in one go by the doubles rule, blue wouldn't be able to in this case because he doesn't have a star on the market. Sorry, messed up my words a little bit there. Okay, these aren't the only kinds of markets. There is also artifact markets, which are here, 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 and down here. These are all the same kind of thing, and each faction has one. These are called artifact markets, represented by them being in a hexagon. All of these require either 3 different artifacts or 2 of the same. So you can use, if you've got pairs of, if you gather to get pairs of markets, you can spend less cards to do that, and it gives you a star in. And the special thing about these, I'll use this one as an example. If you were to go on this space, get rid of your 3, discard your 3 cards, then the star can be. Sorry, I should probably use a blue worker for this example. The star from an artifact market can either be in a built market or here. So because I've not got a star on this market already, I can put my authority here, and I can get rid of this little negative issue that I had before, and no longer be stuck to only doing 1 worker per turn. Let's swap that over so I don't know what it is during a run through. Not face up, that's a bit stupid. Okay, that's actually about it, I think. So that is how this game works. That's all the spaces available. One more little thing. These little tokens, if you were wondering when you saw them, you place these down depending on how many players there are to make as many spots left as there are players. So in this case, I'm simulating a 2-player game, so there's 4 of these covering up the 3 to 6 player spaces, and there's only 2 to put them to make it a little bit tighter and make markets and stuff become more contested. So at that, let's try running through a few turns. Right, I'll go right from the start again. So I've picked those for red. Blue will take 4 cards. I'll start him with an Icarus recruit, and he can have a Subterran face down. He doesn't know that red's done that, but that's how I've decided to go with it. So he wants to try and focus on both Icarus to get stronger with those using their abilities, and he wants to try and get Subterrans, which Red doesn't know about, to unlock his other recruit later on. Alright, so let's do dice to start them. That's a 5, and that's an 8. So in this case, red goes first. So red's going to quickly get his euphorian so that he has some stronger powers. So he's going to start off by going here. So it's a 3, and that's 1 to 4. He gets an electricity and euphorian allegiance. So get electricity into his supply, and Euphoria, which shouldn't be that high, gets 1 allegiance, gets this generator spot, and that makes this available onto here. Now, from now on, anytime any player with a Euphorian recruit active goes in that spot, they'll get an extra electricity. So then it's Blue's turn. Blue has an Icarus focus, but he wants to try and get the Subterrans up to unlock his other recruit and these other powers when he gets a hold of it. So he's going to place he'll place his 3 onto here, and he will get 1 water and 1 Subterran allegiance. Right, back to red. Trying to think of ways that I can get things which are useful to show quickly. Red will go again for electricity. So 3 plus 5, he's in the 8 section. This can get his knowledge down. This way, it's less likely when he gets his workers and rolls them that he will end up losing 1, and makes things a little bit safer for him. Because he's got this token down, he will get 2 electricity as well as the lost knowledge. Back to blue. Blue is going to, now that he's kind of gone for that a little bit, decided he doesn't really need it. He's going to instead go up to Icarus, and he's going to make use of his Icaran focus to try and do something which I've seen in a few games, which is making use of the breeze bar to get artifact cards and hopefully get some authority down. So 1 to 4, and he gets 1 of these and pushes the allegiance track up by 1. At that point, red's run out of workers, so red's turn is going to be to grab these, retrieve them, roll them, gets what blue had last turn, and that's his turn. Blue's going to do the same, and blue gets a double 4, so on blue's next turn he'll be able to place both of those. Back to red. Red now has built up, he's managed to lose a bit of knowledge to make himself a bit safer to do this, and he's got 3 electricity. He's going to go on a spot which I forgot to mention during the teaching a little bit. Sorry, I also forgot something. When you're retrieving any workers, this is something you have to pay attention to. You either pay a food or a bliss to gain 2 morale, increase your hand size, or you can lose 1 morale by not paying anything. In this case, when blue retrieved, he had this bliss from going on the spot up there, so he would have discarded that to gain 2 morale. Red didn't have anything which he could trade in, so he would have lost 1. He can't go below 1, so he's getting stuck there. I'll try and remember that on future turns, that's quite important. Back to red's turn. Red will make use of his electricity to go on one of these 2 spots, which like I just said I forgot earlier, which lets him pay 3 electricity to give his workers a large shock of electricity and get rid of their knowledge, essentially, by giving them shock therapy of some kind. It's not particularly pleasant, but that's how it is. Using the electricity spot lets you lose 2 knowledge, so I didn't really need to try and go for a lose knowledge space earlier, as I would have gone down there anyway. Alternatively, you can use 3 water, which lets you gain morality. You give them a fresh splash of water when they get woken up. When I gain a worker, straight away I take it from the supply and I roll it, and it's now a part of my active worker pool. 3 plus, yeah, I'm still safe there. Right, back to blue. Blue has 2 4s. This means he can place both of them, like I said. So blue is going to go for, oh, I forgot to put this up here. I also forgot to put this one on here. Like I said, blue's going to try and make use of the breeze bar market to get some artifact cards. So, sorry, he's not going to use it yet. He's going to use this to gather some resources first. He's got an Icaran recruit, so he gets 1 plus 1, and he gets some allegiance for their faction. And his other work is going to go in exactly the same place in order to lose a knowledge and gain 2 again. Right, back to the red player. The red player's decided that he's going to go for a market, because that seems like a cool idea to me. So he needs some resources to go about that. So first of all, he's going to go on the generator to build up some electricity. This will let him go tunneling in a future turn. Right, back to blue. Blue's going to retrieve workers, roll them. He's got lots of bliss spare, so he's going to discard one of those to gain 2 knowledge, morale again. And yeah, that's his turn. Back to red. Sorry if I'm going too quick or too slow or anything. Probably too quick. Right, the next thing that red's going to do is he has no way to gain any allegiance at the moment to try and get. Oh, I forgot to move that up. To try and get to the bonus from the euphorian tunnel. So he's just going to go ahead and start tunneling. In this case, spend 1 electricity, the dark grey spot, to gain 1 of these. He's going to go for gold because, like I said, he's going to try and focus on building a market as fast as he can. So he gets a nice little metal gold token. Okay, on blue's turn, what is he trying to do? Right, okay, so he's going to go and visit the breeze bar. So he's going to have to swap the bliss, which he's got lots of, and one other commodity. If you remember, start of the game, I went to Subterra and grabbed a water. And that gets 1 Ichor and Allegiance. Yeah, I think that's right. And 2 artifact cards, which, as I put on while I was doing trying to teach, it was 2 of these. So he's going to be able to place these quite quickly down, get 2 books down, and grab some authority. If we go back to red, all of his workers are placed now, so he's going to retrieve. He's going to retrieve all 3 because he's sitting at 1 knowledge. Feels quite safe in it. Yep, that's absolutely fine. So he's ended up with a 1, a 3, and a 4. And it's back to blue, who's got a worker left. And blue is going to go and get some authority placed down. Blue wants to try and get his Subterran recruit, so he's going to go and place it in the Subterran territory. So 3 cards, or like I said earlier, a pair. In this case, 2 books. You discard them. I think you have to discard them face down, but you'll have to show them first because it's a double, of course. And he then gets 1 star placed in Subterran territory and 1 Subterran allegiance, which will probably make red quite happy because, of course, his was Subterran as well, and blue's doing his work for him, pushing up this track. Back to red, where I want to try and build a market. So he'll put his 4 over here, go straight for the... Oh wait, I don't know how long I want to go on with this. Okay, yeah. Let's use his lower numbers first, in fact. So let's use the 1, put it on here, 2 electricity, as he's euphorian, and gets him 1 allegiance with Euphoria. Back to blue, who's going to retrieve, paying a bliss, gain 2 knowledge, sitting at the top. I forgot with him to do retrieving, but he would have just lost morale. Right, blue managed to roll a double again. He's quite lucky with those. So back to red. He's got a 3, which lets him go on this spot again and make use of this a second time to get that up into there, which is why I wanted to go for the generator first. So he gets to get a little plus token for his tunnel. And now when he's going farming for resources, he's going to be getting gold and artifacts. So that was probably worth doing. I also got 2 electricity for that. Yeah. So blue's turn, he's got 2 workers to place. I don't want to have to think too hard, so I'm just going to carry on doing his tactic of... Oh, hang on. To go to the breeze bar again, I'm going to need a different resource. So in this case, I'm going to go down to Subterra. I'm not going to be able to get any allegiance, but that doesn't matter too much. So I get the middle spot, which is 6, 5 to 8. Get 1 water. I've got another 6. I'm going to go for the same place, because this way I get more water than I otherwise would. So I'm going to grab 2, and I have to gain the knowledge. There's too many workers gathered together in one place, and gaining knowledge. I don't want them to get too smart. I like them being my minions. So Red's turn. He's now managed to get this tunnel, so he's going to go here, pay 1 electricity, and get a gold and an artifact. So gold, let's not take them from the discards. So he's now got this. Right, and now for the next thing, which put the down. Now for the next thing, which I forgot to mention during teaching, which is these little nice little cards for telling you about what things are. If I hold it right up, have another side to them, which is an ethical dilemma. Depending on whether you want to support or rebel against the dystopia, you might pick a different side of this. So if you want to support it, read a book and get forbidden knowledge, work out what's going on, you will get to draw 2 recruits and keep 1. So you get an extra recruit, you get an extra lasting power. The other side is you burn a book, you support the dystopia, you get rid of knowledge, hide it all. And that lets you get authority down straight away. You're exerting your knowledge and trying to go to be the top of the top. And you'll notice that can be either a very specific artifact, which there's 6 of these cards. It's just 1 of each artifact, depending on who which one you get, or you can have 2 other artifacts put together. Okay. The time you do that is on your turn. Instead of placing or retrieving, you can do this instead, which is just a once per game thing, which may or may not come up. Then it's back to Blue's turn with his double 6s down here. Right, so he's retrieved. He doesn't want to pay this bliss anymore because because he's wanting to go to the breeze bar where he's going to need more bliss. So he's just going to keep a hold of it and let himself lose 1 hand limit. You don't need more than 6 hand limit anyway when you've got no cards. So back to the red player. He's going to have to retrieve everything. Oh, I forgot when I went to the... oh, I did get the gold. I'll put it somewhere different. Right, so he's going to retrieve. Oh, that's a very high roll. 8, 13. Oh, he's fine. He's got 14. He gets to get away with having lots of high rolls on his workers at the moment. Sorry, I should stop saying That was his turn. He doesn't have anything to pay again, so he's stuck on a 1 limit. So even if he draws another card, he can't hold more than 1. So he'll have to discard any extras he picks up. Back to Blue, who I said was going to follow a tactic of going for the breeze bar. I'm just going to briefly do something slightly... Well, I was thinking of going for an extra worker, but I don't think he needs it. He's doing fine. He's got an authority down. He feels like he's in the lead anyway. So, yep, he's going to go up to the breeze bar and take 1 of his bliss and 1 of his water to take another 2 cards, which does not cover that. Nope. So he wants to try and carry on looking. He doesn't want to waste 2, or maybe he will. Maybe he'll do it next turn. Back to the red player, whose mission is, if you remember, is to try and build a market. Now he's very lucky. He managed to roll a double 4, so he can rush it in one go in a 2-player game, as you only need 2 down on a location. So he's going to go 1 there, paying a gold, and his other 1 there, paying another gold, and this market's completed. Pushing those off, bumping them. As I said, when they're bumped, they go straight back and rolled. And he's still fine on knowledge. He's only got 11. This then gets an authority token of his, so he's now even with Blue on authority tokens, making Blue get this little negative here. So anytime that Blue from now on rolls a 1, he has to lose a resource or commodity, which can potentially be frustrating. There is worse markets, but that can be quite annoying. It also opens up this space where for any commodity and a teddy bear artifact, which I don't think either of them have yet, you can get some authority down in euphorian territory and some allegiance. Okay, what was I doing with red? Oh, no, that was red's turn, sorry. Yep, red's done that. Blue is going to quickly grab some bliss. I'll stop in a couple of turns, but blue grabs bliss and allegiance. So he's now unlocked this, which makes Icarite quite attractive for him, as he'll get an artifact anytime he places allegiance in that territory. It's a little token to mark that. I'll put up here. On Red's turn, I forgot. I've been forgetting. I've used this 3 times, I think. So Red's turn. Then he is going to go for this tunnel again because he's got lots of electricity, and he might as well. And he gets a gold, moves this along, and an artifact. Now then, he's got 1 on the hand limit track, so he's only going to get to keep 1 of these. He's got no particular preference. He'll just get rid of the one he just picked up. I don't actually know if you pick it up and then discard one, or if you can't draw one. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up and maybe put a little comment on the video. Right, Blue's turn. He's got 2 retrieve workers. He's got some spare bliss this time. Discard that. Put himself back at 6. He likes having lots of cards. Red's turn. He's going to once again go for this. So you'll see he can push his own worker off by going here, bumping it, and it gets rolled and knowledge check, which absolutely fine. Paying an electricity for using it, and getting a golden artifact, which again he can't hold. It's ever such a waste. So yeah, we'll just get rid of that one. Don't think that he needs it now. But he's got an extra resource which he might try and use. Oh, I forgot. In fact, because of this market he built, when Blue rolled this 1, he would have had to lose a resource or commodity. He would have picked this. Right, okay, back to Blue's turn, which... Alright, I was going to quickly go to the breeze bar again and hope something comes up to demonstrate another thing. So pay water and a bliss to get some Euphorian allegiance and 2 cards. Right, cool. I can reveal his dilemma next turn and make use of that. Red is going to... I'm just going to be boring. Just go for the tunnel. Get this. Is that one? Nope. Ooh. See now, if he'd kept his morale up, he'd be able to hold both of these. As it is, he's an idiot. He's got 1, and he's just gotten some more gold because the gold's shiny. And like I said, Kickstarter rewards. He's got beautiful little gold pieces, and he wants to hoard them. It does happen in games, and remarkably, it can actually not be all that bad, particularly when you have to lose them from cards like this. Back on Blue's turn, instead of placing or retrieving, he's going to take the opportunity to go, oh, I have an ethical dilemma card. Ooh. And I believe he has broken glasses. Yes, he does indeed. So he discards the broken glasses to perform this ethical dilemma. And in this case, he's a bit of a power-hungry player, and he wants to just get authority down as fast as he can. He's going to place an authority token on here. Of course, the other option would have been that he could have grabbed 2 of these and picked another one. He might have. In this case, it would have been a bit weird because he would have gotten 2 of the same. But Icarus is pretty close. He might have put an Icarite recruit down. Just to try and get extra points getting to the end of the track later. Okay, I think that'll just about wrap this up. Hopefully I've made a good job of this video and I've not said too many 100 times. So, thank you very much. This is Chris. Hope you enjoyed the video.